Excuse me. Good evening and welcome to the Selectmen's meeting of September 5th, 2017. We will salute the flag first. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
May I add one item? The LWCF contract under new business.
Make a motion that we approve the agenda as amended.
And I'll second that.
All in favor? I
Have not seen minutes for the last
Okay.
2 weeks. We have some staffing changes, and you'll be all caught up by next week.
We will table those. Department head committee chair updates. We have the road commissioners and bridges.
So, survey?
Survey.
Do you want to recap the meeting,
The
workshop, or what? I don't know what
Yeah,
we
the
call it.
recap. So the recap, how do I put this? The road commissioners came in at 3:15 to discuss the inspection of the bridges. Dave Winchell has everything under control as far as having Ben Foster and the right engineers coming in to do the inspections. So at this point, the road committee, we're going to put that on hold as far as the road committee working on the bridges. But we are going to move forward with the survey that Paul Point put together. The road commissioners looked over the survey as far as what the road committee's job is going to be, because we're still having conflict with the road commissioners and what the committee is doing and overstepping boundaries. So that's where we're at. We have a survey. We're going to adjust it and have it mailed out to the town. The town voted to keep a committee, and it is now our job to find out what the town wants the committee to do.
So just so I'm clear, so I'm going to take this survey, and we're going to remove the duties that the road commissioners thought should not be on the survey to even be listed. And then we're going to add duties that they believe should be a choice on here for the townspeople.
Right.
And then, so we want the road commissioners to approve it, we want the selectmen to approve it. Anybody else before and then we're gonna mail it out to all registered voters.
Yes.
Yes.
And what time of, that's what I was gonna ask you, time frame? So we're gonna say that it'll only be, my calendar out. You would like to have all the surveys back. I mean, you gotta figure it's gonna be a good week or so before I can get everybody to approve it. So how long do you want it out for?
3 to 4 weeks?
Yeah, I'd say 30 days
Yeah.
from the day you mail them.
Okay.
A month.
And we're going to put a spot on the bottom for a name and signature as well.
You want a name and a signature on there?
Yep.
Paul, do I have this electronically?
I think I might have it.
There is an electronic version.
I can find it and forward it,
Um,
unless you can find it quicker.
so name and address.
Yeah.
So we're leaving on there the,
But you have a ton of changes, so.
right, that's why if I can get it in Word, I can just, so we're leaving the establish and maintaining the road inventory, right?
Yes.
And the grants,
Yes.
Yep, definitely.
and the other ones are coming off.
The last one,
Execute other road tasks proposed by and let them check.
and I think we were going to just leave road commissioners.
Oh, so execute other road tasks proposed by road commissioner.
Right.
Okay. So there's 3 on there. I mean, before we spend an effort on a mailing, are we gonna have more than 3?
They, did they take 2 home with them to kind of read through?
Yeah, they were
Okay,
gonna.
I mean, they might come back to you too, so I
All right, so
I
I'll
would
send
wait
it
a
to
few
you
days.
after they.
Yes.
Okay.
All good?
Yes, ma'am.
Some of the voting.
Oh, hi.
Hi, now could you run that by me again? I thought we had a road committee that we were up and running, we had a chairman, and now that is in question?
Yeah, just on hold.
On hold?
On hold.
Why?
Because the task right now at hand for the road committee is bridges, and Dave Winchell is working on the bridges. He's actually even gonna contact the old, Save the Canal Bridge Committee that put the canal bridge on the historic
Pam Wigan now.
Judge,
Yeah.
to see where they're at, because I think the last thing I saw from them was in 5 to 7 years is when it would be accepted for repair, and here we are at that time frame. So he's
we want
gonna,
to see where they're at, you
yeah.
know.
Okay, now, so what you're telling me is you just defuncted the road commission
No, we put it on hold.
on hold.
Just until we
Again,
get these surveys back, and then we
Again.
can go from there.
there's too much tension right now between the road commissioners and the road committee, and
Maybe the road committee and the road commissioners should be separate entities.
They're-
And the road commissioners take care of the roads, and the road committee can take care of the bridges and all the, does the road commissioner have the temperament to deal with all of these bureaucracies that have to be dealt with?
Very much so.
He does.
Yes.
Well, I witnessed temperament last week at this meeting that was totally irresponsible, unprofessional, and it was unacceptable behavior from the road commissioner. And you're telling me that he has the temperament to go and deal with all of these various entities. Well, I call that
He
into,
does.
Yeah.
strongly call that into question after that performance last week.
well, he was upset.
Now, I realize that this board has got serious conflicts of interest with this road commissioner, and this does not look good. That performance last week calls this board into serious, your credibility is really up at odds here. This is not good.
What do you
He-
mean? What do you mean conflicts? I don't
Did you
understand.
see the tape of his
I
performance
did watch it. I
here?
was not here last week, so
I realize that.
plugging me into some place that I wasn't here for.
Yeah, well, you should have been. You should have
Dave
seen it
Winchell
on the
was
tape.
upset that Cindy had called Ben Foster when he was going to call him,
Right.
and so he felt,
Now, when we had the road commission meeting, we said that Cindy was going to call. You agreed to that on the committee. And then somehow Dave got involved.
no, I didn't agree to her calling Ben Foster. I agreed to you calling the local roads and bridges maintenance, the book you had,
Not Ben,
not Ben.
and not for that
Well-
I'd
purpose.
just like to clear this up. That's what I did.
Yes,
Yes,
However,
please.
he
Ben
didn't,
Foster was the one in the office, and that's who they put me through to.
And that's what I
Knowing
figured.
how sensitive the road commissioners
Right.
are. I'm walking on eggs trying to do anything here, but these bridges have been ignored, and it wasn't that long ago that the road commissioner was insisting that the man under the bridge told him he had no responsibility for it. Currently, it's posted incorrectly. There are two different signs on the posting on two different roads. It also has not been cleaned up and maintained to the point where you can really get a good inspection. Now,
Have
we're
you-
not trying to step on their toes, it's just he did not realize this was a responsibility until recently, and he's jumping in when the road committee had experience with other bridges. And also, we'd like to see some work done here. He had not called last week at the meeting. It's been dragging out and dragging out. And also, why doesn't he just sit down and talk with us? That would be a lot easier than him just talking to everybody else. He can have my phone number. I'm happy to talk to him. The road committee wants to get the stuff done. We also have, probably you're aware, we have illegal turnarounds.
Yeah,
We
we're-
were working on that.
Yep.
We had the material.
And
We
then-
were doing things that David and Scott don't do.
right.
And that's-
And we talked about that.
We're also an elected board, and the road commissioners are not the boss of us. And the survey, if you want to do it, I think it's going to cost you a lot of money, but I think going by the MMA letter that defines what the road commission committee's role is probably the best route to go. And I would have been delighted to come in at 3:15 and sit with you with them also, and make them feel a little bit better about our role. But for now, we'll put it on hold. If you don't want us to have a meeting next week, we won't. But,
And I do appreciate all your time and effort putting into this. You're very passionate about the bridges, and I don't know why the balls were dropped way back when, but that's what we're in the middle of trying to figure out. And right now, Dave says he's working on it, and I need to trust that he's doing that. But in the meantime, the road committee will still exist. We just need to put it on hold.
are we meeting next week?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
We're watching.
Old business MMA action plan.
Closet scheduled for September 14th.
Good. Looking forward to it. Maintenance zoning.
So since the last week, he had 10 that he was dealing with, 4 that responded, 4 that are being cleaned up currently, and 2 no responses. He thinks out of those 10, 3 are guaranteed to go to court. And he said that he has 25 left open to look at from his own pile and 5 that came from a citizen. So those are his numbers. And you saw the bill in this week's warrant from Lankowski.
Yes.
Certainly not here to question any decisions you make, but that number's going to rise, so you need to figure out where you're going to pay those out of. Because we don't have it budgeted in general legal, and I'm sure land use doesn't budget for that like that, so we're going to
Okay.
need to look at some lines.
Okay.
It was what, roughly 3,000? Is that what it was?
I think it was,
One? Did
no,
I see
thought-
one?
Did you see the second page? It was a
That was the
grand
second
total.
page, grand
Oh.
total
No, it was
was
Oh,
almost
grand
close to
total.
3,000, I
Yeah.
thought.
Okay. For how many properties total?
I think he wrote, 9 or 10 letters to start?
Okay.
How
that's what I
many do we
thought.
have to go?
Okay,
Quite a
ways to
few.
go.
Yeah.
I'll pull some numbers and budgets for next week.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Motor vehicle checks.
I sent an email. I got Ed's today.
So should we have a
We have
meeting?
I have a meeting, they have a meeting September 11th, 7 PM, so I'll mention it then.
I did talk to
ma'am.
the chief today. I was over there for a few minutes, picking up some gear, and he is going to hand them all out next Monday
Okay.
to those that didn't get them.
Deputy vehicle.
Supposed to be delivered tomorrow.
Yay. Fire department audit.
So I met with Steve and Norm and a representative from Down East this morning, and we went over the whole fire department building. His biggest concern when he looked at the building was the age of the furnace. It is extremely old, very inefficient. Apparently it's 360, no,
360,000 BTU.
1,000 BTUs, yes. Way over their pay grade, not something they do. Steve's going to have to make some phone calls to some surrounding towns that have recently built fire stations and try to get some engineers to come over. I'm going to get a price just to get an engineer to come over and give us some ideas. But he said that was definitely causing a lot of the excess propane use. He also had concerns with the vents up top and how the doors open and closed and employee safety. So Steve said he would get back to us in a couple of weeks or a couple of days once he can find a quote on an engineer to look at the building.
Steve mentioned the concern about the vents, or Down East?
Down East mentioned the concerns on the outside. Steve pointed to other vents on the inside. Did he show you those?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a concern because that's
Okay.
what they're breathing in.
Right.
And then when the trucks are running, obviously in the winter, if the trucks are running and the doors are shut, that's diesel. So there were concerns there, so.
Okay.
But the biggest thing is where the furnace is now, there's no vent. It's not being vented anywhere.
Oh,
Just,
It's not
good.
venting fresh air into it.
right,
It's venting the gases out.
right, but
It's
nothing's
not
coming
pulling
in.
Right.
And it's supposed to come in at a certain level. So,
meeting room walkway. Started.
he started. God love Tom Drummond. He does a great job out there. And I've tried to block all this off out there, but it'll be a few days and we're still getting quotes on the railing price. I just contacted Milton, the same company that did it for out here. They were low bidder twice, so
Okay.
got them coming out to give you a price on that.
New business, open snow pusher bids.
So we didn't get any,
Oh,
which is good news, bad news. So just to refresh your memory, this is the snowplow John Deere snow pusher. And originally, the transfer station manager came to us and said that he wanted to trade it in because apparently there's a tractor over there and there's this attachment, but they don't fit on one another. He said the tractor was upgraded X amount of years ago and they never took the attachment. So John Deere is now willing to swap it out for an even trade to give him one that works on the tractor. But because of the warrant article we have and the value, we had to go out to bid first to see if we could sell it for more than what the even trade was going to be. So with no bids, you have the authority. You saw the email from legal department I sent you a few weeks back. You have the authority to authorize him to trade it in for another attachment that fits the tractor he has.
I'll make a motion that he does such a thing.
I second that motion. Yeah.
all in favor? Thank you. ZBA appointment, zoning board of appeals appointment.
Yeah, last week you instructed me to create one for Ms. Lois Michaud.
To Lois Michaud, the Selectmen of the Municipality of Acton do in accordance with the provisions of the laws of the state of Maine hereby appoint you as zoning board of appeals within and for the Municipality of Acton until June 30th, 2018, given under our hands this 5th day of September, 2017.
Make a motion, we appoint Lois Michaud to the zoning board of appeals.
And I second that motion.
All in favor? Route 109 update.
Last week, I think it was last week, there were some concerns about 109. You kind of gave me a little bit of direction. A few things have happened. I mean, it's not overnight, but I did talk to CMP and spoke to Paula Pelletier, the Trading Post, and we've gotten an emergency cutting going on so that when you're at the Trading Post, if you're trying to turn left, all those trees that are there underneath the power lines, CMP is going to come in within the next couple of days and cut them to hopefully help with visibility. We have Art from the Sheriff's Department is in charge of the signs, the big yellow flashing signs, so he's putting 2 on the road. I don't know if anybody's come up in the last hour, if they're already out
I think
there.
they just put one out here.
Oh, he did?
Yep.
Okay, they're putting 2. It's not a lot, but it's a start. It says, I think, slow down, drive with caution.
Oh,
Um,
is that what that is?
As you know, we had 2 motorcycle accidents on 109 over the weekend as well, so, talking about putting more patrol out there. But they all so far have been, minus the Trading Post, the accidents were, single vehicle. So, it tells you the driver, had something to do with it, so. We're trying to, I think somebody mentioned a light, a red light, I think last week, and somebody might have mentioned no left turn out of the Trading Post to help. But we're going to start with these things, and if the board wants me to pursue the traffic light, I need to hear that from you. I don't know what the process is, but I could start looking.
I don't know if they'd even consider that.
I have no idea.
The other thing that needs to happen is the trees to the right, they're actually in Chapley. They're on the other side of the bridge.
Yeah.
That's a big block trying to come out of there, going in either direction.
So
If you're pulling out of the
you're at the
trade-
foot of the lake where the hot dog lady was, and
No,
you're going
I'm
to,
at the trading, well, I'm
You're
at the trading post,
okay.
getting ready to pull out. If you
Getting
look
ready to-
right,
Yep.
and you look over the bridge,
Yep,
from the other side of the bridge to probably the end of the guardrail,
okay,
it'll make sense if you look at it.
yep.
There's a bunch of trees right there that block everything coming down the hill, coming northbound.
And, okay, I'll write that down.
But once again, that's in Chapley.
Well, that's okay. I mean, if CMP,
I don't know if there's any wires above it. I don't
Okay.
think CMP is going to be involved. I think it's going to be more the DOT.
Okay. And the town can, DOT seems to be okay with the town stepping in emergency situations or visibility, but I'll call Carla tomorrow
Yeah.
and see what we can do. Paul said that many years ago, and somebody might know more about this, that when they raised the bridge so that more boats could go under it, that's really what caused the problem. I mean, I'm sure it was many, many years ago, but because that height in the bridge, he said, that's why you can't see. But he's certainly willing to do whatever too and help, Nobody wants to see accidents down there, but he says that other than last week's accident, that in the last 6 months, most of them are being hit from behind because somebody is stopping to turn into a store and the person behind them is
Yep.
not paying attention and.
Yep.
So, but we've got the signs up, we've got that, we're gonna try to get some more coverage, start handing out tickets left and right, and,
It seems like if you're doing the speed limit and paying attention, it's not too fast.
Right.
It's a good speed to slow down as long as you're paying attention.
what's the speed right through the store, once you go
40.
down?
Yeah.
That's
40?
40, it probably should be.
Yeah.
like-
Once
think
you
it
hit
should be
like
at least
Holsworth,
30.
is it 40?
It drops at the end of Holsworth Field, it drops. to
Yeah,
Well,
drops
that-
to 40.
50 to
So
40.
And do we have
probably-
another sign, where's our next sign, not until you hit the Shapley line?
And
Once
that's
you get over the bridge.
35, right? Goes down to 35.
I'll
Yeah,
look
and
on my
that's
way home.
35, yeah.
35 is more reasonable, I think.
Yeah.
Right, because if you
Yeah.
post 35, they're gonna
Over the-
do
Yeah,
40.
over the bridge and right in front of the trading post.
Right.
To me, that makes more sense.
All right, I'll see what I can do.
Thank you.
What about on 202, Greg Vermet, the signs they have down by Long Swamp Road, that when you're looking across, it'll
flashing,
tell
yeah.
you that, this car's coming just one way or that this car's coming two ways?
Oh, the sensors, they just put one at the end of School Street too, didn't they? That one,
Yeah,
is that what
they've
you
got
mean?
one at the end of
I think-
School
is that what he
Street
means?
too.
I don't know where those, so essentially, I mean, they're, you just don't want people to rely on them, kind of like your backup
Right.
cameras. You don't
Right,
want them to be
right.
100%, but there must be a sensor somewhere in the road and it lights up if the car is coming
Yeah.
from the left or right.
I mean, my son mentioned that to me the other day.
Yeah,
You want me to look into that as well?
yeah, those are,
You could, yeah. I mean, that probably is more reasonable than a traffic light.
Okay.
Because I don't see a light. A light could actually be more detrimental there, I think, than
you come up
anything.
over that hill in a red light. you
yeah.
might- Yeah,
Yeah, it would be, so, yeah. I mean, the other thing is, and as silly as it sounds, those great big convex mirrors. But once again, they're hard to see. Something that lights up and gets your attention would work, so.
What does the sign say? Did you notice that he put out
I think
here?
it says oh, no, I didn't. They were just setting it up when I
Slow
come in.
down, something.
It was nice of them to do that so quickly.
Yeah.
We also have, the traffic camera coming out and saying, not camera, but the one that you drive up to, it says your speed is,
Oh,
your
yeah.
speed limit is, and
Have you
you're
heard from
driving.
them?
Yes, I did hear
Coming up?
back from him, and it looks like we'll have it in Acton before the end of the month.
Okay.
Good.
It's only
Are
for a
you
week.
going to
but-
the class?
Oh, no, no, no.
Who's going?
I didn't, nobody that I'm aware of. They're just, our deputy picks it up.
Oh, I thought somebody had to go to the class,
No, not that I'm aware of.
learn how to use it.
Dan's trained. He'll,
Oh,
I don't think we have to touch it at all.
all right,
no, he just sets it up and,
okay.
yeah.
Where we are, survey status.
okay, so, wanted to just kind of touch base so that I knew what direction, you wanted from me. So we have the marijuana survey and we have the sheriff's department survey that you guys okayed. We've been giving them out to pretty much every customer that comes in, left and right. So how long, so your next meeting is September 19th, right? Which is a Tuesday, okay. When do you want me to stop pushing them in the calendar? And, because remember, I need a couple of days to tally. And based on how many I already have, I might need a couple extra
I was gonna
days to
say, how
tally.
many do you think you have?
I bet I have well over 100.
That sounds pretty good.
So if we
Another-
pass them out for, let's say, the remainder of this week, as long as it's it's the first of the month, so our office is fairly busy. I could tally, towards the beginning of the week, and if I have time, we could add to it, but, or did you want to try to, you wanted the results for the 19th, is that what I understood?
Yeah, yes.
You're open this Saturday, correct?
Yes.
Yep, so that'll be another day you could.
Yeah,
send them
and-
out.
How about that?
In all
make that-
honesty, but it depends on how busy we are, and if we're one person, you're not getting a survey,
Yep.
especially if we have a line, so.
Oh, okay.
But you could take some at the library, too.
Yep.
Were they just sitting out on the counter?
No, well, they're sitting behind me because I'm trying to, at some point, not, make sure that, my group of kids in town who I love aren't taking, aren't filling out 5 while they wait. So if I monitor it a little bit, I have a pretty good idea of,
Right. Yep,
who's been through, who would offer it to and who not to, if they've already been through.
Okay.
So, through next Friday, unless we can extend it based on being all caught up.
LWCF contract.
So Carl Davis sent us an email, 13-page email, which I forwarded to you guys and forwarded to Brad. This was the agreement this is the agreement between the town and between the government to get the grant. right?
Yeah, to be able to put in invoices so we can get reimbursed.
So, this came from, Brad's office on September 1st. Dear Jennifer, Brad and I have reviewed the agreement to purchase services with the Department of Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry, and we believe that it is appropriate for Elise Miller to sign.
So the grant, this is the same grant we've been working on all the
Same
way through?
grant. This is just to
Yeah.
This
allocate
is like the
money.
invoice going to the government saying, okay, give us the money.
It's going to make it so that the town of Acton, right, can invoice,
Yep.
exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
I make a motion, we sign the
Oh, sorry.
LWCF contract.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
And you'll send that on to Doug Beck?
Yep.
Yep.
Via email, or is he gonna want original?
I think he said in the email that it could be,
One spot?
Just one.
it could be electronic,
Okay. Yep, I'll, get it out to him tomorrow.
okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, no, not one spot. There's a few spots as you go
Okay.
through. Sorry, 4 or 5 pages in.
Oh, that's right, there was 2 places to sign, you're right, 2 places. And I just had one other question. Do we stand the same when we met with the selectmen and the road commissioners? We're still in the same place there.
Yeah,
Yes.
I haven't done anything since then. I mean, I think that how I left that was that until we have money in hand to pay the person to do the parking lot or to do the parking lot, that we're not moving forward at all,
Right. But
right? And,
we're still thinking of the road commissioner, though.
right, I'm sending that over to legal to say now that we've gone out to bid and we have
Right.
such a variety, the board has the right to decline them all.
Yep,
Can we do it this way?
okay. Okay. All right.
That's
so-
what you want to do, right?
Right, and the next thing is you want to see the money for the parking lot.
Yeah, because otherwise,
Yeah, we can't, I mean, the town can't authorize an expenditure if they don't have the money for it. And they can't, we know from the last special town meeting, we can't front the money for a grant like that. I mean,
Right, okay.
so you have any idea when it's coming in? Any
Well,
closer?
we have a meeting tomorrow, so I'm gonna I'll put it to the board tomorrow and see what happens. Yeah,
Keep our fingers
but
crossed.
if I do get a yes, I mean, we can move fairly quickly then?
If you get a yes, what, the Three Rivers is gonna fund it
Yep,
and the town will reimburse it?
yep. Well,
Yeah, I mean, the road commissioner knew that the work had to be done by October 1st.
Right.
And as long as we can, I mean, I guess I need to think about it, as long as we can clear that, because the last time to appropriate and reimburse, we had to go to a special town meeting, so I'd like to send the attorney a quick email, just telling him how we're gonna do it and make sure he's okay with that,
Okay,
based on our current warrant.
right. I mean, it would go through the grant again. I mean, it would
Right.
be an invoice from the town to the grant. It's
But
just-
essentially, you're saying the Three Rivers would pay for the project.
Right.
When the money comes in, we would invoice them, and then we would give that money back to Three Rivers. Right.
Right. Right. It's just, can we do it in a timely fashion?
Yeah,
If
I
get
can have an
the-
answer for you tomorrow, so find out
Okay.
if your board wants to do that, and
Yep,
I'll ask.
okay. Because October 1st isn't too far away.
it's not.
Unfortunately.
And we do have, I did talk with the Maine Conservation Corps, they're gonna come down and take a look at it, and they're still on schedule to start October 1st. So.
For
it
the
would be
trails.
nice. We don't have to have the parking lot done by then, but at least a place where they could come in with trucks and equipment and be off the road by October 1st. Yeah. Okay,
I'll
Okay.
take care of it.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I have one more new business, if that's okay.
Okay.
So with the work that's being done out front there, the ramp that we have, the ramp was paid for by the town, but it was reimbursed by the elections back in 2006 when we made the building ADA compliant. Based on just rough numbers of a couple of random people that know what the price of steel is and how low it is, they say it's worth maybe 50 or $100. It's got some rust in it. I do have somebody that has already come forward and said, I have a church that has no handicap accessibility, can I have it for free? It's not at an amount that you have to go out to bid, because anything over 500 you have to offer, so you need to tell me what you want to do with it.
Where's the church?
Poland.
Oh, really?
Poland. How did you find this out?
We have a resident that has a home in both places, and she just said, oh, where's that going? I'm like, I don't know yet.
What were we going to do with it
Dispose of it.
at the transfer station?
Assuming they would take it, do they take, I don't live in it.
They
Do they
take
take
steel.
Would have
steel?
taken it in the steel thing,
Yeah.
like you say, it's not,
But I've.
I mean, it's not worth anything.
no, it probably wouldn't
No.
even be,
I think if somebody's willing to come and get it and take it off for free, it's one less thing we gotta,
if a church or someone else can use it like that, another,
I mean, she's just the
Yeah.
first one to ask. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
I'm fine with
Yes,
it.
I'm fine with
All
it
right,
too.
thank you.
Yep.
Public comment.
Hi, Lois Mishu. We got a great thing going on this weekend. I don't know if you all have heard. It's called the Quilt Hop. It's actually down here in South Acton Baptist Church. The Historical Society is getting together with a bunch of people and old quilts. Some of them are, I guess, were over 100 years old. And you're welcome to go look at them, check them out, and you can check out the church at the same time. It's going to be open from 9 to approximately 3 or 4. They're gonna ask for donations. I think they're gonna have refreshments and stuff like that. And of course, the Historical Society will be there and probably ask for membership and miscellaneous stuff. Sounds like fun. Unfortunately, I'm going to miss it, but the church will be open. If you guys are interested in checking it out, go for
Can
it.
you just, the address of the church
Did you
is?
say the Acton Milk Mills, French Street?
No,
No,
it's
which
the
one?
one over by the school.
Oh,
It's
across the street
800 and
from-
something. The old South Acton
Oh, okay.
Baptist Church.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's 800, block 800 and something. Go by the school where the
Okay.
cemetery is.
Saturday?
Yep, this Saturday.
Starts at what time?
It starts at 9
9. All
and
right.
approximately 3, 4 o'clock. It's in combined with another church in Sanford. I really don't know the name of it. You can ask the Historical Society while you're there. The woman that I talked to, her name was Becky, I believe. And she's gonna lay them all out, I guess, across the pews and talk a little bit
Nice.
about them maybe. And some of them are supposed to be really old from what I understand. So if you're interested in checking it out and checking out the church and checking out different things, come on down. The other thing to add to your upcoming meeting, the Warrant and Finance is having a meeting on the 25th, just before you guys are, we haven't set a time, but I'm gonna assume it's 6 o'clock. I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah, Dr. Williams sent me an email. I didn't have a chance to look at it, and it had such a full attachment
Yeah, I
to
know.
it.
He asked me if it wasn't there just to mention it.
In the ending, I noticed at the last minute there was a meeting scheduled, so I will add it.
Okay, and that's to go over what you guys have asked us to do as far as the reserves and stuff like that.
And they haven't seen Mr. Gore's attachments yet. I just got it.
Bless them. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
What days are Warrant Finance Committee?
Monday.
Susan Meehan. I was wondering, is it possible to get an agenda a couple of days before the selectmen meeting? Is that possible?
It changes, it changes within minutes of getting into this meeting room because we have our workshop at 4, sometimes 3. We can't guarantee that it's going to be the same as if we were to do that. We can't guarantee that it'll be the same.
Yeah, we actually tried that back a few years ago, and one of the problems is for folks to come in and want to be on the agenda, we want to give them just as much time as possible. And there is times when 4:30, 4:45, we get people that want to be on the agenda. So
Couldn't you put a time limit if you wish
I don't want
to?
to lock people out.
For that week. And then they would have to be rolled over to the next week. Just about every town in New England does show an agenda before. That's
Is it
all.
on their websites usually?
Usually.
Okay.
It's up to you guys. I mean,
It's-
you want to, you'd have to set like a Friday deadline, and you need to come in on Friday so we could set the agenda and choose what you want on it.
Right.
And then, so after whatever time you set, then, nothing else would be added to it. So that's your call.
We wouldn't be allowed to add anything? I mean,
I
could
mean,
you
you
put
can make a
something?
motion.
Rolled over
You
to
can
the
put a
next
motion.
week.
You can put a motion, you can make a motion to add things, or like she's saying, that you could, you could say if it's not brought up by such and such time and date, then it's, the following week.
So you're saying you'd like to see an agenda by Friday?
Well, it's not just, or even Monday, but it's not just me.
Oh, no, yeah.
Other people
Yeah.
would like to see the agenda.
What, Monday's not really it's your payroll day.
I don't do
Sorry.
payroll. I mean, Monday we come in and do check, I mean, you guys
It
want
would
to
have
come
to
in
be
on
by
Monday?
noon on Monday.
You guys want to come in on Monday and sit down and go over the agenda
No.
with me?
Mondays are my Sundays.
Agendas aren't required. I mean, they're helpful and they're, nice to a lot of places, but I mean, to give them both sides, they're not required. I'd be
We
happy
think
to do
about
it ahead of
this?
time, but I need you guys.
I know.
Okay, I have another question. Where would you say the most of your tax dollar base is from? Is it from the year-round residents, or is it from the lake residents? Where would you say the lion's share comes from? You'd probably know that one
You'd
off the
probably know
top of your
better.
head.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on, when you say, are we talking about revenues coming into the town?
Right.
I mean, your tax base, I'd have to calculate it, but excise would be right close behind it. I mean, excise tax is, 350,000 easily that we budget. It's a huge amount of excise that comes in through that office. I mean, I could tell you what percentage was residents and non-residents, but I'd have to.
Well,
I'd
the
need some-
reason, so that to be a little bit clearer, the reason why I ask is because I noticed that you guys are going to start having 3 hours a week or 1 hour a week available for office hours for 3 weeks out of every month. I noticed that. And then I thought, well, when the lake people who pay a lot of money for their property as well in taxes, you guys are never available for them for office hours. And I just thought it would only be fair.
We're always available
No, you
if they
said you
want to
didn't-
email and schedule a time outside of those office hours. That's certainly possible to do. That's just set for anybody that wants to walk in, but if somebody has an issue, they can certainly call or email and schedule something.
Come in and meet with them?
Which they have.
Okay, so it's well known to all the lake people how to.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, the lake people, God love them, and nothing against the board, but we can handle and assess 99% of their issues. They're not selectmen driven. Usually it may be a department head. I mean, today we dealt with a couple of culverts. It was a matter of, a school bus. It was things that in-house I could get them to the right department. You know what I mean? The concerns that came in just today alone, it was nothing that got to their level. I mean, I haven't even had a chance to tell them about it. But the non-residents really don't have, I mean, other than the tax bills, and you'll hear from them as soon as those tax bills hit. They don't generally come in and have a lot of concerns like that. It's more the,
Okay, I
regular.
guess I was, I think I'd like to see you guys have office hours year-round, not, take the summers off.
It's kind of it's pretty new, and
Yeah,
we
we've only been
decided.
doing it for a year, well,
Well,
started a year
previous
ago and-
boards had lots of office hours.
What's that, previous?
Previous
if
boards.
you go back maybe 5 years ago.
and just in that, just to clarify that with this board, and kind of did a little differently. They cut down on the office hours because they wanted everything to be brought in public to you guys so that you could see and hear everything that's going on. If they have office hours from 3 to 6, let's say, and start their meetings at 7, the road commissioners, the Warren and Finance Chair, all those people are going to come in during that and just, go over their concerns. So they don't meet with anybody outside of the public meeting unless they're, is a pretty strong concern, or it has to do
Citizen
with
with it.
personnel.
Yeah.
Like so that was one of the reasons, but as an individual, I mean, you should track September through 6 months out and see how many people come to meet with you.
I've had 2 people in the last year.
Yeah, I think I've had the same.
I usually try to sell them while I'm working, hey, this is the selectmen. If you have any concerns, here they are. But there's just not a big list.
Well, some people don't like the idea of being on camera.
Well, and that was the
That's
idea of
why
having
they
them
can
coming
come
in
and see
on,
us one-on-one,
Right.
so,
but they didn't want department heads to get into the habit of off-camera.
Right. yeah, because then you start running things that should be run out here. We didn't want, and that's a problem the other boards had in the past. the department heads would come in and sit and shoot the breeze for 2 hours. Two things happen there. It shuts out the public coming in to see them because they think, oh, they're busy.
And decisions were made.
And decisions were being made that should be made out here, so.
Okay, so think about
Thank
the
you.
agenda.
To clarify on her agenda, that was what I was going to get to, is I think the way the agenda is running now is running fine, because there's times where, like me, I'm ahead of a department right now. I might not be come fall because we're going to meet. If I have something to say to you, I want to be able to say it now, not wait a week, because it might be prudent at that point. And in saying it in public is just taking over whoever has to talk in public, where I'm ahead. I should be able to, at least talk, either that or stop putting all the heads on your agenda, because there's sometimes, some weeks I need to talk to you guys for more than 5 minutes, and other times you've seen me, I talk for an hour or two if you want me to. But, that's just how it is, and it's just how it's gonna go. And then now we're coming into our busy season, what I call like warrant finance is gonna start coming in, and there's gonna be like myself, our department's gonna start meeting here pretty soon. It's just gonna be more and more coming in, and if you lock the agenda, I feel you're locking us out, because at that point, who are we gonna talk to if this is the only time we've got? So just be aware of that, please.
Thank you.
I think one of the concerns there is that when we, the taxpayers, get the agenda, there's money issues, wage issues and stuff that come through, and we only have 5 minutes to sit in the audience here and look at these items that you're going to be going over. And frankly, some of the things that you brought through on the agendas have caught everybody just off guard, and they didn't know how to react. And you're not giving your audience enough time to think about the issues that you're bringing that are being brought before the board. And then on another issue, has the board thought about bylaws, adopting some bylaws?
This topic's been brought up before, and we have an ordinance that does, no?
No, there's no ordinance enacted. He brought it up before, and he
Right.
gave you I showed you the Maine Municipal Manual that
Yeah.
gives you guidelines on how
Right.
and what a selectman can and can't do, or should and shouldn't do. But we
Right.
talked about you have the option of making bylaws
Bylaws
if you
versus
wanted to
your own.
tighten up state law. That's up to you
The
guys.
reason why I bring it up is because nobody knows how you guys are operating. No one has a clue. And very few people, unless you come to the meetings, know how to address you, how to come up to the podium, how to direct the questions to the chairman. The lay person does not understand how you are operating, and that creates suspicion and distrust, and it's just going to come back and bite you. You've got to start acting more professional and being more open about your decision making. And if you were to adopt some bylaws, which most towns do, the people can see how you're operating and what rules you're operating under. And your credibility is in question. You all should reflect about what went on at the town hall. And that issue came up about the credibility of the board. And to see what happened here last week, it demeans this board. And myself, you're my only voice in this town. And the only way I can get my voice heard. And if you're not working in an open, straightforward way, then you're defunct. And you should be working in a more professional manner.
I don't see how we can be any more open than what we are.
Our decisions are
don't-
made here, right
We
here.
don't know how you're operating, though. You don't have any guidelines that people can see how you're operating. You don't have any guidelines on how this meeting is being conducted. You should have rules of order. If you've got 4 or 5 rules of order and printed them up and enlarged them, I will make you a frame, and you can hang them on the wall right
Want
here.
some- You would like to see
So that
something.
everybody can see that once the chairman says, we've had enough, and you can stop that. You're going to have fistfights in here if you don't watch it. You really have to start working with more order.
Thank you for your opinion, and we will look into bylaws and a,
Tell me what you,
Rule of
specifically
order.
what you want me to do. What do you want me, I mean, he gave you bylaws samples already, so there's no reason for
Right.
me to recreate those.
no.
What do you want?
I'm not sure what the rule of order would look like, but
Well, I mean, there's moderator rules of order
Right.
that kind of determines, how a meeting is run, but essentially each chairman, unless you adopt something.
Also Robert's Rules of Order,
yeah.
so.
In that sample of bylaws, there are rules of order.
Yes, I read them. Yep.
Is that something that the board wants to move forward with, or?
Yep, we'll put it to
Well,
new business.
New
for-
business?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep. I certainly don't want to look unprofessional.
Well, people who come in,
Do you think that you do? I mean, I feel like we have open conversations.
I
It's
have to
pretty
take
clear
people's
that-
opinions to
No,
heart.
I know,
mean,
I'm just,
everybody has their opinion,
yeah,
and
no,
they
I
see
just, I mean,
things
if there's something
differently,
I can do,
so.
we can do differently with the agenda that, you think will work differently, but these things are
I mean,
clear that we're having the conversations for the first time. I mean, short of a few emails, I don't see this board other than Tuesdays at, from 3 to 5. So I put together what's been going on during the week and save it for them to make decisions on.
I know, it's not a full-time position, it's, I put in as much time as I can handle with my 3 part-time jobs, making ends meet. I'm doing the best I can, and
Mike McCrum, is there any reason you can't just write down what you currently do now? I mean, you don't have to follow a boilerplate plan. Just write down how you run a meeting, and, you can do it that way, make up your own rules. So so everybody knows what to expect, that's all. I like this informal. I'll be honest with you, I'm a fan, so, but put it in writing so people can anticipate what to expect.
what to expect, yep.
Because I'll be honest, I'm a little confused as to how things go, because I'm new here, not new in town, but new visiting the Selectmen's meeting, but just write down what you're doing.
maybe
know?
the public comment is a little unclear, like, maybe the public comment needs a few guidelines? I mean, that's when the
Well,
public comes up to
basically,
speak.
just maybe on the town site, just have, this is how we run a selectmen's meeting. Just something in public so people can go, oh, okay. So that when they come here, they have a clue about what's going to be, what they can anticipate. Because your points with the agenda are well taken, in my opinion. You can't, it's tough to accommodate everybody a week ahead of time. I mean, stuff happens. So, but if they know what to expect, they can call ahead and say, what do you think's going to, maybe get an idea from, call the town office and find out what's happening possibly to get a clue of what's going on. But as far as, public comment, that's pretty straightforward in my opinion. That's my chance to come up here and
Right.
talk,
Yeah,
Anyway,
I mean,
Thanks.
yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, Richard Nass. I live in the Milton Mills Road. I disagree with Mr. Meehan. It doesn't need to get more complicated than it is now. I think you're doing a great job. The more rules you have, and especially stay away from Robert's rules. That's a snake pit. You'll never get out of that one. There are plenty of booklets from Maine Municipal Association that give you advice on how to run a meeting. Anybody can read those, not just you. Meetings get out of hand sometimes when issues get out of hand. A lot of people show up, but there are ways to deal with that. I think you're doing fine. It doesn't need to get more complicated than that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I 100% agree with Mr. Nass. We keep things, we're a lot more open, I think, now than we were even a few years ago, in the way we do things, so.
I mean, from my position that, I can't, you're right. It's different working with different boards and, I take direction from the board, but in the past, prior boards, it was very clear instruction that, things weren't even talked about. Or they were talked about or they were pre-talked about, do you know what I mean? But like with the 109 update because I put this stuff on here based on what goes on during the week, and I certainly, if the board wants, I can try to do a cutoff. they don't know what these things are until I tell them. If it's something of substance, I try to send them emails ahead of time, but this board, believe it or not, is more open than I have seen many boards in a lot of years, if that helps.
I'm not being overly critical. Like Mr. Nass said, that the state does publish guidelines for the way. Well, you should adopt those and print them up and have them on the wall or put them on the website or whatever, so that. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you have to have strict rules and you have to do this, that, and the other thing.
No, but it's nice for other people that come here.
Right.
I mean, they would know
So that
what they're supposed to do, or maybe expect.
Before I first came here, I didn't know what the rules were, and I was afraid to address the board. Believe it or not, you're an imposing board to the normal person. You guys are running the show. And if you have, it doesn't have to be these complicated, strict things, but when we had an issue last week when someone wouldn't step down from the podium when they were told to by the chair, if you had a rule written on it, you say, turn around, look at the rule, you're all done. You have something to show the people what the rules are, what the limits are. All I'm trying to do is, I was afraid I was going to have to grab him by the collar because you look terrified. And there were women in the audience who were terrified also. And there was a bad situation, and you have to keep that under control.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I did watch the tape of last week's meeting. I wasn't here, and I was not impressed either. So I think that did get way out of hand. And yeah, I think Elise handled it the best that she could. And no, I'm glad to know that there's some people in the audience that have our backs as well like that. So thank you.
Any more public comment before you move on to announcements?
So did you notice I split up? So I was tired of copying and pasting, and I split up announcements and upcoming meetings. Is that all right?
Yep, that's perfect. Mary Grant is having a potluck picnic on September 17th at 1 o'clock. That's in partnership with the Acton Public Library. Applefest in the 5K is September 30th, starting at 9 a.m. The Applefest is 9 to 3. It is actually both days. It's Saturday and Sunday, but the 5K is just on Saturday.
It's down at Smith's Red Apple Farm?
Yep. There'll be vendors and food and...
Nice.
So it's 30th and October 1st?
Yes. The Zoning Board of Appeals, the Rec Committee, and the Cemetery has openings for their committees. Office Assistant is an opening in Jen's office, the town office.
Yep, so we had our summer girl leave us permanently. She had last few summers, we were able to keep her, but now college is calling her 24/7. We also had, so she won't be coming back. That's part of the reason, and this is already pre-budgeted in the budget, so it was counted in there. We also have Brenda, the land use secretary, did a couple of things. She took the minutes from the meetings, and she worked on the town report in extra hours that she was looking for downstairs. She's decided to give that up. So we're down 2. So town administrator, town clerk's office is currently looking for a part-time office assistant. Hours will be on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9 to 2. A little bit of flexibility there, but that's really what I'm looking for. Starting pay will be between $12 and $13 per hour, depending on experience. The ideal candidate will have strong Microsoft Word skills, multitask well, and excel in customer and communication relations. Daily task will consist of all aspects of the office environment, from filing, shredding, typing memos, creating documents and spreadsheets. Computer pre-testing will be done. Interested candidates should submit a letter of reference and resume to me. Deadline is Friday, September 8th. Or later if we don't find anybody. But between taxes and the November election and lots of stuff going on here, I'm trying to fill it sooner than later.
Thank you. Okay, so Warrant and Finance is meeting September 25th at 6 p.m. Public hearing on September 7th for Maloney at 7 p.m. That's an H Road public hearing. Planning board.
Maloney, that's conditional use for a, an art, is it art studio or?
Planning board, okay, that's it. Road committee is not meeting on September 12th.
So yep, sorry, I didn't know that at that time.
Informational meeting on the marijuana is September 19th
Oop, I didn't put the date on there.
at 6 p.m. So we'll be tallying the surveys and giving feedback and also taking any more questions.
And we're still calling it informational because it's not a
Informational.
required public hearing, and make that clear.
If you are interested in going to Augusta, there's a meeting there on September 26th. Was there a time on that?
There probably is, I don't know what it is, I'll look it up.
Okay,
That's in Augusta?
yes.
That's just on the marijuana, right? See
Yes.
what the state's gonna do?
The marijuana committee is having a meeting, I don't know whether they're gonna be ready to announce.
Are those open to the public?
Oh, yeah,
We could sit in on it.
I'll try to get you more information.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I'll go.
Forest Conservation is meeting September 19th at 7 p.m. The Recreation Committee is meeting September 21st at 7 p.m. And the auditor meeting with the Board of Selectmen is September 26th at 6 p.m.
And on that note, I really want to make sure the board has, we're going to try to schedule this for an hour meeting, and what specific things you want from him. Once the Warren and Finance, well, actually, their meeting is not till the day before, so that's not going to work, but I'm going to send you an email that I got from Dr. Williams today that has all of Mr. Gore's concerns. It was a packet that was handed out. I don't know what happened at the meeting, but I can't just hand the auditor, a 50-page packet on the day before. So I need specific questions. If you are going to limit it to, the reserve accounts and getting clarity on what the concerns have been, that's one thing, but.
I thought that's what he wanted. I thought
Well,
that was the issue.
his packets have gone well beyond that, and I don't know if somebody from Warren and Finance wants to recap what happened at
How
the
many-
meeting, but,
How many pages did you say this?
it had to be, what, close to 50?
What?
How, the packet that was created?
There's quite a bit of information there. He started last year giving us information, and it just continued on. There's 17 pages of just plain reading material, not including extra material that he has going on. So you want to take a good look at it. It's all in question of reserve funds, basically how they set up, when they were set up, and basically those are a lot of the questions.
And some of its definitions on
The
regarding
definitions are
terminology.
like, when the school board came here, we had a few concerns about what the definitions they were using.
Right, but he's not gonna be, the auditor's not going to.
No, but
But that's
that's.
part of the
that's
packet.
I think
Okay.
it's some of it in there, but not a lot of it. It's more reserve fund.
So maybe we
Issue.
can, maybe I can go through the packet with the chair and see if we can outline, the
That would
5 or
probably
10
be,
specific
that'd probably be
questions.
best bet, because what we're gonna do, from what I understand on the 26th, I could be wrong, and there's 2 other people out there that could correct me, we're supposed to meet on the 26th, basically core ourselves together, maybe take 10 questions, so each of us take 10 questions. For all I know, I could have the same 10 questions as the next person beside me, so that would eliminate that set of questions.
Oh, you
and
mean
so
you're
on and so
preparing
forth.
10 questions for the meeting on Tuesday?
For the
Yes,
next
that's
day,
not
we're
gonna
gonna.
work.
No, we're not
So I'm not sure
That's
how
not
that's
gonna
gonna
work.
work.
The auditor, he's gonna need a little more,
See, I'm
a
not
little more
sure.
notice or time. Is there any way you
We-
guys could bump your
we
meeting
wanted
up
to-
a week?
We wanted to bump the meeting, and we were meeting out, I guess. Everybody was kind of packed at this
Because,
point.
having that, and it's like going into any meeting,
Oh, I
We're
understand.
asking him to come in, and he's gotta have some time to do some background on, especially if he wants specific dates on when a specific reserve account was created.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of what they're,
Right,
that's
we
kind
can
of what they're
get
looking
that
for.
information, but it's not gonna be something that can be bought on the fly.
The only other thing I can think of is maybe by having these questions, and this is only food for thought, and I'm only talking as myself, not as the group. Maybe we can go through that, crash them, we meet with him, he can give us what he knows, we can give back what hasn't been answered or what isn't answered, and maybe later on in a letter, he can send back what the final details are. I'm not sure. Either way, it's costly
Well,
money.
it's not supposed to
costing
be a
money.
free-for-all.
No.
And unless I haven't explained it to the auditor correctly, this started from after town meeting, when many times at town meeting, comments were stood up and made that, this wasn't done right, and we'll discuss this at a later time, and this reserve account wasn't created the way that it was supposed to be.
Exactly.
Those basic questions about reserve accounts and capital improvements and rollovers have been brought up so many times that we wanted the auditor to come in and give you an outside opinion on how that was created, but because, you know, there's, how many different ways is there from here to get to the, get to the Shapley Town Hall?
Yeah.
You know, you could go 3 or 4 ways. It doesn't mean that one town's doing it wrong. He's gonna give you a lot of recommendations or a lot of examples of how other towns are doing it, but it doesn't mean the way that Acton's doing it wrong, or certainly we would have been, it would have been addressed by now. I mean, we're audited by the state, we're audited locally, we're audited by motor vehicles, by inland fisheries, our books, I mean,
I guess the primary.
I'm just saying we
the
can't
primary
blindside
core,
him with.
From what I understand
100
is,
questions.
were these created on town floor and when?
Give us a list of the reserve accounts, and by next week, I will give you when they were specifically created and how.
Your better bet's to talk to Mr. Gore.
I'm just saying,
Because
those
that's
kind of
who would have
questions, I
it
mean,
all.
that night can't turn into that.
No.
Because he, you know, no auditor, no matter how good you are, he's not gonna know that information off the top of his head.
Well, that's it, and that's kind of why I actually, myself personally, wanted a meeting a little bit farther out, but because people, we're a group, there's 8 of us, we all can't meet the same day and process, so we do the best we can to the next day as possible.
I mean, is it possible, sorry, that we email the Warren and Finance, and if they're not able to move their meeting up, that maybe they derive their questions via email? I mean, maybe the chair will allow each member to come up with 3 or 5 questions, even if I have them a week in advance. We don't want to give the auditor questions that you're paying somebody else to already answer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
Oh,
just
I get
said, what
that.
year
I get that.
does the vehicle need to be titled? Well, we can bring somebody down from the state of Maine at $500 an hour to tell you it's a 95 and newer, but why would you do that if, you know what I mean, if I know that information?
Yeah.
Same is true with Michelle. I mean, if some of this is information that we can get for you in advance,
Oh, I agree. I've said this time and time again. If, but like I said, we've got one person
Right.
who
We just need
wants
the questions
clarified
on these.
answers.
We should have the questions by the 19th.
Okay.
That's a week.
that'll give the auditor a
I'm
week
not,
to look
I'm
at
not
them.
the chair, so you have to contact the chair.
So I'm
In a
gonna
week
send
for
the
you to
Warren and
answer
Finance.
the ones that you can answer.
Right, so I'll send the chair an email recapping this conversation and basically telling them why. I mean, I
That's still
trust he'll
given-
understand.
Right.
And his committee can email him questions, whatever they may be. And certainly, the ones that we can come up with answers to, we will allow the auditor to confirm or deny that those
And
answers are
I've said
correct.
that before, that was a good idea that you had, Jen, because you and I have had that conversation before. I feel this is something that, it needs to be settled. It needs to be settled before we go back in June
Right.
and hear the same song and dance.
Right.
And in other words, even on my other committee that I deal with, it's a rollover amount, and we did it for a reason, and we did it back when Jennifer first started, we did it for a
The
reason.
state allows certain types of
Exactly,
accounts to roll
but-
over, and you vote on them in your warrant. They're listed
Exactly.
out.
But we don't, and we know when this one was established, but some of the ones are just questionable when they're, I guess, the
All we need
biggest
is
thing
a
is
list
when
of
they're
their accounts, and
established.
we'll give you a specific answer.
If you
So-
take
You
I
guys
think,
have 2 weeks to.
yep, but take a look at what he sent, because that
will.
will also help when we send off the questions, or when they allow us to do the questions, that will also help you guys too. Fortunately or unfortunately, some of you guys weren't selectmen at the time, probably wasn't even residents at the time when all this was taking place, so I don't know how much research has got to be done. Even mine was questionable, so,
I'm sure we'll find the answers.
yeah, it's
They're
gonna
there.
be, it's that far back that some of this will go,
Jen's
so.
organized that office pretty well. She'll find it.
Okay, because I know, I want to say in Mr. Gore's notes, it starts around 2000 to present.
I have all of it, yeah, we have all the attachments. I
yeah.
mean, you guys got copies, because
Oh,
I
yeah.
put that packet together for you.
Oh, yeah, and we got some that night, plus I had, thanks to Jen, I got to pass out more that came out that night.
I'll
But-
take care of it, and I'll contact the chair
Yeah.
tomorrow with the board support, with my email.
Thank you. But
Is
that it?
Yes, that's it. Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Sorry.
Good night.
Night, thank you.